Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. This week is going to be a little bit different from my regular farm, business, and creative updates. Instead, this will be my birthday, Passion Flower birthday Q&A episode. I've had some really great questions come in, and I've had to think hard about how to answer some of these. So I'm looking forward to sharing those with you now, and I hope that you enjoy them as well. So I'll break them down into farm, business, and creative, just so that we have a little bit of structure and so that I can group the questions together. I only got one farming question, and so I'll start with that. The question is, did you grow up farming or did you get into it later in life? So the answer is kind of both. So where I live now on the farm in Hillsville is my grandparents' farm. So they lived here for all of my life, and when they passed, it was left to our family. So I have been coming to the farm since I was born. And I remember helping Pa to feed the cows and climb in the haystack when I was really little and drive the tractor and pick mushrooms in the paddock and pick blackberries, um, all sorts of things, help Pa to milk the cows. So it's all sort of been entwined into my life as I've been growing up. So not really farming so much, and obviously not living here all the time, but I was visiting really regularly, especially when I was quite young. There was probably a period where I stopped coming for quite a while, but the value of the farm and the feeling that it was part of who I was always kind of there. They talked about wanting to sell at one point, and we were like, "No, you can't sell the farm." So, yeah, so this has been in my family for a really long time, and has just always been a place that I'm really comfortable and familiar with. So I actually moved here to live at the end of 2018. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, that's about right. That was after a whole series of changes in my life. It's going to get a little bit personal, but not too much. Um, I finished up at a job that I'd been at for about 20 years, and I was a little bit burnt out from that. I separated from my husband, and I also, my grandmother passed away, leaving the farm to the family. So I was selling the house that I was living in. I was not working in the city anymore, and the offer was that I could move here and live in the granny flat next to the house, and sort of see how that went. And I'm still here and still loving it, and I feel like it's where I need to be, where I want to be. I've got this shed all set up, so I think everything kind of happens for a reason, and that's why I'm here now. So I started my video YouTube channel not long after I moved to the farm, and some of those early episodes talk about um, how it felt moving and things that I didn't expect living on a farm. It's different when you sort of come to visit when you're a child, or you stay over, for a weekend or whatever, to actually being here all the time and going through some of those daily routines and things like that. So there's quite a lot of farm footage early on, because that was sort of what I was exploring. Before the shed was built and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I haven't really been a farmer, and we kind of farm, but not really. We have quite a lot of bushland. We currently have paddocks where we cut hay. We had cows registered for a while, so we've kind of dabbling in a few different things to maintain the property and the land that we have. I've shown videos of fencing before. I have my pet sheep. So the farm has been part of who I am since I was born, and now have moved, and now I'm living here. So that's the story. All right, now to some business passion flower questions. The first one is, how did you come to name your business Passion Flower? Okay, lots of things go through your mind when you're trying to plan a business name, I guess. And I wanted it to be something that was generic in terms of not saying knits or yarn or dye studio or anything like that, so that I could branch out and do different things. And now I'm teaching, and so it was good that I didn't just have dyes or knits or something like that. Um, and I was home, and I have had a big passion fruit vine. It was at my old house. Had a big passion fruit vine outside, and it had lots of it was flowering, and it had the purple and green flowers, and I like purple, green, are like my favorite colors and things that I wear all the time and that I really love. And I love the flower. It is so beautiful and intricate, and delicate, but also quite strong, and like produces these amazing fruit. So there was that. I'd been playing around a little bit with dyeing, and I'd come up with this purple and green colorway, which I didn't never sold, and I still have some in my little cabinet over there. But it was sort of one of the first things that I tried and had worked out the way that I had wanted it to work out. And also, well, my name is Rosalind, and it means beautiful rose. So I thought I didn't want to have a name around rose because that was a bit too close to my name. So I wanted something that was flower related. And flowers in my garden were also what was inspiring my early colorways. So the whole being really creative and passionate about what I was doing, flowers, green and purple, passion flower, and that's how it came about. Next is, what got you into yarn dyeing? And that started because my sister gave me a a little kit for my birthday, some undyed yarn, a few different dye colors, and a few pots and tools to go with. And because I'd been kind of looking at colors online and complaining that there were things that like it was really expensive to buy from overseas, and I couldn't find anything that I wanted for myself here in Australia. So she said, well, just give it a try for yourself and see if you like it. And I'm like, okay, sure. So she pushed me in that direction and gave me that little kit. And from there, I was completely hooked, like just loved it. The creativity of it, the excitement I got from putting the dye into the water and on the yarn and seeing what happened, and being able to envision something in my head and actually have that come out on the yarn was actually really like inspiring. And I feel like it actually found my real like creative passion. Like I love knitting as a craft and a hobby, but it is like it's my relaxation, it's my way of sort of meditating, and I love the creating and the end product. But the yarn dyeing kind of sparked something different in my brain, I think, and really started to get me on that real creative path. And so yeah, so I started doing it, and did a few colorways, and I still have my original yarns over in a little cabinet. I never sold the first ones that I dyed. They were just for me, and they were just playing around. And it was before I'd like bought additional colors and started to really mix and like my own, put my sort of own stamp on it. And like they were the very, very first initial things. And a couple of them I knit with and then realized that I hadn't set the color properly. So um, they are literally just for remembrance sake. Um, and then I started to dye more things, and I was starting to write down the recipes, and it got me thinking I'm not knitting with anywhere near the amount that I'm wanting to dye. So I just started a small Etsy shop and went from there. And I've always been quite small. I only do small batches still, and that's the way I kind of want to keep it. I don't want it to become a job. I just enjoy the creative outlet and the passion of it, and sharing that with other people and seeing what they make with what I dye. And so, um, yeah, I just keep doing it the way I'm doing it. That's just perfect for me, and I just love um, that I'm able to just create these amazing colors on yarn. Well, I think they're amazing. I hope you do too. All right, another passion for our question. What is your favorite colorway to dye? Um, that is really hard, and I think it changes on the season and on the amount of a colorway that I'm dyeing up. I often enjoy like creating the color and doing like the first few batches, and then if something becomes popular and I'm dyeing it a lot, you kind of you get a little bit sick of it. I don't mind. Like then I will rest it for a while if I don't want to dye it anymore. Like because as I said, I'm only small batch and I do it because I love it. So if I'm not enjoying it, then I'll just not dye that colorway for a while or create something new or take a break or whatever. So I find it really hard to choose a favorite. Um, and I wouldn't even say that lavender is my favorite, and that's like purple and green. Um, hmm. I know my first colorway that I sold was fuchsia, and I still really do like that color. Um, I don't know. Just I'm enjoying dyeing solids or semi-solids at the moment. Um, I I'm learning for myself how to do that, and I think sometimes that's part of the enjoyment that I get is teaching myself something new. Um, oh, no, I don't think I can actually give a favorite. I know a customer favorite is snozberries, and that is a colorway that actually takes quite a lot of time to dye. So sometimes I love it because I get really into it and I can really batch it out and do what needs to be done. But other times it can be a bit of a chore. So I don't know. Oh, yeah, no, I don't think I have a favorite. Sorry. All right, now on to the knitting questions. So, who taught you to knit? Now, I did a whole episode on this very early. It was my first year of doing video podcasts, and it was episode 36. And I kind of go into my origins of knitting and how I sort of feel about it. So please go back and watch that. Which it's quite a long, like not longish, but it's going to be longer than this answer. Um, in a nutshell, both my grandmas knit, but I never saw them knit. But I have seen things that they have actually made. Um, and it was my mum who taught me to knit. She sat opposite me and she did the movements and I learned doing some really basic scarves and things like that. But I didn't really enjoy it at that point. And I didn't continue on, but I knew how to do it. And like mum doesn't knit, she crochets a little bit, but she's not really like the crafty type. So it was never something that was sort of around our house. And when I went to my grandparents, they were entertaining, so then they weren't knitting either. Um, so then it was something that I picked back up again later in life in my 20s and really started to get into. I looked on knitting blogs and tutorials and was signed up for Ravelry quite early and just started to really from those basic movements that I had learnt when I was much younger, I was able to teach myself and I've just kind of developed my skills by reading books, watching lots of YouTube and yeah, just trying things out and seeing if I'm able to do them. And yeah, of course you can. You just have to, give yourself a little bit of grace and a little bit of patience. So that's how I learned to knit. Okay, next question. What is your most favorite item you have ever knitted and why? Now, this was a really hard one to, to think about. I have been thinking about this one for a while. I saw it when it came through, and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even know how I'm going to answer this question because I'm not sure that I really have like a favorite. And I think it kind of changes as you make something new. You're like, oh, this is my brand new thing. I really love it. And then you move on to the next thing, and then you really love that. Look, I love the first pair of socks that I made because they are hilarious. One is ginormous and one is small, but I still have them and wear them as bed socks. So there's those, and I think they're kind of my favorite, excuse me, because that has led me to be such a prolific sock knitter, and I love sock knitting so much. But my favorite garment things, I think I had to kind of think of this in terms of probably more what I wear the most. And that for me is Quiet Stars by Joji Locatelli. I really love this cardigan. It's got a really big, like, shawl collar with a lot of, and I'm not wearing it so that I could show you, with a lot of lace detail. It is really comfortable on my arms and fits really well. And I found a lot of the things I made quite early on were too tight because I didn't know how to um, change the pattern to suit me. And this, I was able to change it to exactly how I wanted. It's got some lovely texture and eyelets on the sleeve, which I think works really well with this variegated yarn. It's got, so it's got patterning throughout, and it's got a really lovely detail where you've joined along the back. So it's got like you can see the collar and then the join, and then it's got a little row of eyelets before the lace. Nice open fronted, 4-ply, easy to wear, goes with almost everything, and is really comfortable. It is out of my own yarn, and I dyed the yarn myself. This colorway is a one-of-a-kind colorway. So I don't wear this to markets or stalls because I can't sell this color. Otherwise, I would probably wear it like all the time. It was an experiment, and it ended up being similar to a Christmas color that I did called By Candlelight. But this is a much darker version, and I didn't write down the recipe and wasn't able to replicate it. But I just love how the variegation, I'm just playing around with it, how the variegation worked really well with the patterning on this. And I love how it's lighter at the top and goes a bit darker at the bottom. And yeah, so I think this probably is my favorite to talk about it. And as I said, I do wear it quite a lot. It's the thing that I grab if I want to just throw something on it when I'm going out. So Quiet Stars by Joji Locatelli. All right, this is another knitting question. It is, tell us about a knit that you're most proud of making. Again, this was super hard to decide. I I think I'm proud of everything that I make, or most things. I don't know if I'm proud of a dishcloth. It's just like a dishcloth, but you put work into everything that you do. But I think the thing that I'm most proud of is a blanket that I made for the house. It's based on, I think it's called the Color Block blanket or Afghan. I'll put information here. Um, I put a lot of work into that blanket, and it still sits on the couch in the house, so I see it every day. So it's enjoyed by the whole family. It was something that I didn't just knit for myself. And look, I love to knit things for myself, and most of what I do is, but I do gift occasionally. But often when you gift things, you never see them again. Whereas this is something that sits proudly in the house and is used all the time, and really is a little bit of a like, it's a real like decorative piece in the lounge room. So I chose the colors. I slightly modified the pattern. There was one block that I didn't particularly like all that much. So I changed it out and found a different stitch pattern to use. And I took really good notes in Ravelry. Like, I was really surprised looking back on it. The detail that I put in. So I was really caring about making this project, and keeping a record of everything that I did for it. It was, as I said, it was a lot of work. There were a lot of squares to knit, of each of the different colors. So it was quite repetitive, but kind of repetitive in a good way. And then there was all the joining at the end, and all the blocking first, and then all of the joining. So it was quite a big project. It's the biggest blanket that I've ever made. I've made some crochet blankets, but they're not quite as big, and they were quite scrappy and didn't really have a plan or a purpose and was just using up scraps. Whereas this was like dedicated, I'm buying this yarn for this particular blanket and I'm going to, the whole thing to go with it. And only the other blankets that I've made have been like small baby ones. So this was definitely a real undertaking, and it came out like really, really nice. And I'm still super happy with it and love how it looks. And I'm really happy with how I put all of the squares together and you know, all of that. So just the whole thing, from the yarn that I chose and the stitch patterns that I chose and the border and the combination of the colors and how they sat, like everything, I was just super happy with. And as I said, it now takes pride of place on the lounge in the house and just looks really great. So that's my proudest knit. I think I'm going to wrap that up there. That was a lot. This is going to be a longish episode for my regular kind of videos. So thank you for sticking with me, and thank you to those who sent through questions. I really appreciate it. I will soon be doing my video on summer tops. I've had some really great suggestions come through in the comments, so thank you for sharing those. I am putting together a bundle on Ravelry, and I'm going to talk through the ones I'm thinking about making, and what yarn potentially I'm going to use, and I will share all of that with you shortly. I want to do a bit more work on it because I've actually been sent quite a lot of great suggestions, and I want to make sure that I can include all of that, and I've done a little bit of research on it first. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. This is my sixth year of doing video podcasts. I think I'm losing track. There is a lot to go back and watch if you're ever interested in starting from the start. I actually went back and watched my knitting origins video and my Q&A from last year, and I'm actually surprised I wasn't quite as cringed out by my watching myself as I thought I was going to be. I've gotten much more used to doing this than when I first started, that's for sure. So yeah, really appreciate you all for watching. Thank you for sending in your questions. And that's it for another week on the farm. Bye.